Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the November Haiti Health Network webinar, which will be on medication management.
Bonjour à tout le monde, merci parce que nous rejoignons sur séminaire ça qui est basé sur gestion médicaments en Haïti.
This, for me, is a very exciting topic as I am a pharmacist, and we have a lot of pharmacists joining us today, both here in the US and then hopefully from Haiti as well.
Et c'est un séminaire que moi bien content pour lui parce que moi-même c'est une pharmacienne en parlant de Madame Barbara Campbell. Et nous gagnons quelques pharmaciens qui ici aux États-Unis et aussi en Haïti qui rejoignent nous pour dans panel là.
Today's format is going to be a little different than some of our previous webinars, and that we're going to do it as a full panel discussion led by Haitian pharmacist Fanis Jean.
Et format discussion aujourd'hui a un petit genre différent de ça nous connaissons déjà. Non façon que n'a posé question, c'est une discussion panéliste à répondre questions que modérateur nous qui c'est docteur Fanis Jean, haïtien pharmacien qui a travaillé aux États-Unis, c'est lui-même qui pourra modérer séminaire là pour nous aujourd'hui.
And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We had the slides scrolling before we started. And I want to introduce Fanis Jean. Actually, I want to introduce Marie-Claire as well real quick, and Dr. Ted Kaplan, both with the Haiti Health Network and who are extremely vital in making these webinars happen every single month. So I just want to say thank you to both of y'all, Marie-Claire with the translating and the organizing, and Ted with a lot of the subjects and the connections. So thank you guys for all you do to have these happen every single month. I know we're already planning the future one. It's a lot of work. So thank you guys, appreciate it. And Marie-Claire, thank you for introducing us to Dr. Fanis Jean so that he could moderate for us today. We're very thrilled. I'm very thrilled to have the moderator from Haiti. I think it adds a lot, and I'm very excited about it. So Fanis, Dr. Jean, I want to turn it over to you to allow the panelists to introduce themselves and go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Marie-Claire. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. And it is going to be a great day. I have no doubt about it. This is not something you see very often. You have all of these bright minds in one room. And we're going to have a lot to learn today, a lot of things that will be discussed. And before, let me say I am Fanis Jean. I am a pharmacist practicing in Florida, retail pharmacy, Publix. I am immunization ambassador for this company as well. And I do have a live show on Facebook where I talk about different health topics. Again, it's on Facebook live show on the Dr. Fanis Jean. And today I am so excited. I am happy. I am honored that Dr. Campbell has chosen me to be the moderator today. And as you can see on my face, I am really, really happy. But before I go any further, I wanna take the time to let the panelists introduce themselves. I don't know if Dr. Campbell can put the slide with the names, that as we're introducing them, people can see the name and who they are as well.
Yes, I can do that. So you can start introducing and I will do that.
All right, let's go with, we're gonna start with Dr. Berry.
Hi, Dr. Fanis, thank you. And thanks for leading us today. It's so great to have you doing this and giving us all the opportunity to share what it is that we do and share some of our knowledge of medication management. So my name is Barry Abey. I'm the CEO of Blessings International. We are located in Oklahoma, and we do a lot of work throughout the world with distributing medicine, particularly in Haiti. We do a lot of work. We work with short-term teams that are traveling in, but we also do a lot of direct shipment. And so My background is a pharmacist and also an attorney. And so I'm just excited to get to be here and get to share a little bit about what we know about medication management.
All right, this is good. Pharmacist and lawyer. I mean, this is good. As I told you, we have a lot of great minds in this room today, and we're happy to have you, Dr. Barry. It is a pleasure. Thank you for being here. And we're gonna move on to Dr. Botford. I don't know if I said the name right. If I don't say it right, please correct me.
Oh, no, you did a great job. My name is Julie Botsford, and I am a pharmacist that focuses on medication safety at Munson Medical Center in Traverse City, Michigan. And I had the privilege of working with Kathy Gray on a mission to Haiti with Soaring Unlimited, and worked in a pharmacy there. And I also brought Tisha Peterson, who you'll be meeting here in a moment, on board to assist with technician training in Haiti.
Awesome, thank you so much. And now we're gonna have Peterson. That's Tisha. She's a pharmacy technician. I'm gonna let her introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Tisha Peterson. I work in Traverse City, Michigan at Munson Health Services at the Medical Center. I am a pharmacy technician by trade. I've been doing it for 12 years, and I'm working with Soaring Unlimited to, we developed a training program that we are going to be starting classes for via the internet for a clinic located in Haiti.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And we know that Dr. Cunningham won't be here today. He will join a little bit later today, as announced earlier by Dr. Campbell. And we do have some people that have done some great work to make this possible today. And you can, I'm looking at one of them on the screen, is Dr. Kathy Gray. And I'm gonna let her introduce herself to our audience today.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Can you please translate a little bit about what everybody's saying for the ones that don't understand English as we go along?
Absolutely, and we will be doing this as well. And for now, mon captain dem en Haïti, nous avons un panéliste qui fait adresser pour traduire sa cap de chaque panéliste. Raison qui fait que nous pas fait ça en un moment, c'est parce que nous sur écran, nous non seulement à introduire, dit qui est ça au fait, et me penser que là nous entrer dans discussion, on a bien chance pour nous traduire tout ça aussi. En fait, nous capable traduire exactement mot à mot, mais nous traduit idée afin que vous capable comprendre exactement qui ça qui dit, qui ça qui a fait jeudi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now we're gonna go back to Dr. Kathy Gray, and she can introduce herself.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kathy Gray. I'm actually a family nurse practitioner. I've been associated with Soaring Unlimited since 2012, working at the medical clinic there with Michigan State University. And that's Dr. William Cunningham is one of the people who drafted me to work, and I fell in love with the work that's being done in a northeastern community of Haiti near Cap-Haïtien. And while working in the clinic there, I recognized, or many of us recognized, there was a deficit in knowledge base for folks who were volunteering and also working as pharmacy technicians dispensing medications. So with a Rotary grant, we were able to develop a program, thanks to Tisha and to Dr. Botsford, for pharmacy technician training. We're going to tell you about that. Thank you.
Awesome. And we
translate. Mari,
Yes, hello.
translate.
Yes, I would like to also, Caroline Laurie is trying to get on, our pharmacist in Haiti. I'm working with her to get on. So, Faness, I'll turn it to you while I work with them to get on.
Awesome. And before we get started, what I want to do is to remind everybody that objectif nous jodi a, c'est que c'est focus sur comment nous ka gérer médicaments dans niveau facilité, dans niveau l'hôpital, dans niveau nursing homes and living care facility. Et ça, on a fait ça. Objectif là, c'est pour aider moun qui en Haïti. Et je souhaite tout le monde qui là capable prendre son pour tendre tout ça qui va bien pour faire. Et après, monsieur que ou pas sortir dans chose ça, même j'en t'ai entré. And we are happy to be here. And our topic today is medication management at the facility level. And I have no doubt that if you're here today, you're not gonna live as the same person, because you're gonna have something new that you will be learning for sure today. Medication management. This is a huge topic. This is huge for healthcare. This is huge and the healthcare system as a whole. And regardless of your stand about it, whether if you think it's important or if it's not important, it is big, because it will affect the outcomes of healthcare. And if you have good medication management, of course, that will improve patient health, that will improve clinical outcomes, that will decrease the amount of hospitalization that we have, that will decrease the amount of people you have living in living care facilities. And if you neglect that part, so you're gonna have more people being hospitalized, you're gonna have more people experiencing different side effects of different medications, and you're gonna have more people, because you have a lot of people dying because of non-management of the medication. So that's when health management is something that is essential for health system. Et ça me fait dire que gérer médicaments dans niveau facilité, c'est un bagage qui est vraiment, vraiment important dans le système de santé. Et quel que soit l'argent qu'on prend là, s'il aide la aider au gain moins de monde qui est hospitalisé, la aider au gain moins de monde qui a vivre dans côté qui fait pour monde qui a âgé vivre, et puis la aider tout dans quantité monde qui a entré, qui a vivre d'un côté au gain monde qui a prend soin. Mais si que vous négligez ça, ça va gain monde qui a entré l'hôpital pile sous pile parce que médicaments n'est pas géré façon que tu dois gérer. Ou bien monde qui a fait expérience avec plus adverse réaction, et là ça arrive, il n'est pas bon pour le système de santé, à ça comme si quelque chose l'a affecté quand même. Now, we cannot talk about medication management without talking about medication procurement. Nous pas qu'à parler de medication management, nous pas qu'à parler de comment gérer les médicaments, ça nous pas parler de comment ou gain accès qui procédure qui est là pour gagner accès à médicaments. Now, this leads us to our first questions of the day. What are the challenges we face when it comes to medication procurement? And this is to our panelists. Either one can intervene, and we'll let it to you now. Et question, c'était qui moyen nous gagne pour nous, qui meilleur moyen qui genre de contrariété nous gagne pour nous gagner accès à médicaments. Et nous inviter panélistes nous capables de répondre à question ça. I turn it to you, my dear panelists.
Dr. Faunus, I'll start. I think when it comes to medication procurement, one of the real challenges that we see in any system is consistency. If we're not able to consistently get the same medications, then it really puts the patients that we're serving in jeopardy, because they're not able to have they're not able to take medicine consistently to treat whatever it is that they're treating. I think the other issue. Go ahead.
Dr. Barry Fink dit que yon nan pi gros problème nou gen avec gen accès à médicaments, c'est surtout une question de consistance. Parce que souvent gen consistance pour joindre médicaments que vous toujours joignez consistamment, then la affecter façon à traiter patient. You can keep going, Dr. Berg.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I was going to mention is quality. I think that's the other key to medication procurement, is assuring that the medications that are being obtained are of high quality and are not counterfeit or substandard.
Et Dr. Berg dit comme ça, yon l'autre bagay qui est important encore, c'est qualité médicament que nous avons bien pour nous assurer nous que médicament ça que nous avons bien, c'est pas médicament qui fait que mon fait ou pas même qu'à vérifier safety ou vraiment. Anything else you want to add, Dr. Berg?
I'll let some others talk.
Awesome, awesome.
Well, let me just to frame what according to the question you asked. When I first started coming to Haiti, that was the only thing that we were doing, was doing medical missions, and you would first few times, especially coming there, trying to figure out what medicines are really pertinent and needed there, where are you going to get them from, how are you going to get them into the country if they need to come from outside the country, and how are you going to keep the patients supplied with medication who need continue to need them for chronic conditions. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the issue is, and we find as we try to deal with those issues, myriad ways of trying to do so, but it's never easy.
Well, yon nan mission nan te gen nan aider Haïti, c'était pour aider avec médicaments. Yon nan pi gros problème que nous rencontrons, c'est surtout pour gen médicaments, parfois besoin de dire qui côté la sortie, c'est la sortie à l'étranger, comment pour faire pour entrer les. Parce que ça c'est un pi gros problème que nous rencontrons en Haïti. And if we have anybody else that wants to say something.
I would just say that as a person bringing medications in that are donated medications, being part of the Michigan State University School of Medicine Global Health Institute with Dr. Cunningham, we had donated medications and we had difficulty getting them in through customs, and sometimes we were paying hundreds of dollars in customs fees to get these donated medications in. The other problem we've had is people will donate medications, well-meaning people will donate medications, not realizing that any medications that are out of date are not allowed into the country, which is sad because many of those medications are probably perfectly good, but they have a US outdate that is stamped on them. And so we cannot use those medications. And so those medications are always discouraged. And it's sad to see some of those not being able to be used.
Oui, nous attendez nous.
Ok, bien, merci.
Et puis, Dr. Gray Fink se dit un bagage là qui est vraiment important, je voulais traduire pour nous ça. Il dit que il y a un problème que yo gen en Haïti, lui-même si on a monde qui baille médicaments même en Haïti, en plus fois le lien créé avec médicaments yo gen pour yo payer un paquet l'argent pour yo entrer avec médicaments pour yo aller il dit en pile fois moun k'ap baille médicaments qui gen date qui expirée pour États-Unis, mais ça mon Haïti pas comprendre parce que ouais date là expirée yo pas vle que médicaments ça entrer en Haïti, et ça nous connaît dit que les médicaments expirés, moi-même m'a dit ça en tant qu'un pharmaciste, les médicaments expirés ça pas veut dire que médicaments pas bon, ça veut dire que moun qui fait médicament dit que l'arrivée dans date ça, il ne doit pas 100% effectif encore. Mais si vous avez une chance pour adresser pour un médicament ça, c'est bon au lieu que ou pas gagner rien même. Dr. Gray, thank you so much for your answer, and this is good. I understand how frustrating that can be when you see you're trying to help, you're trying to give, then once you go and you're having all of these problems, you have to pay money to get to have the medication to get in the country. Then the expiration date, they're saying this is expired, we can get it in. I know how frustrating that can be, and I was telling my fellow Haitians how that can be difficult. Before we move on to our next questions, avant nous aller dans l'autre question que nous avons, we would like to give another opportunity for anybody else. If you want to say something else, we're getting one more comment. Then after that, we're going to move on to the next question. Si nous pas gagné, on a pas une seule opportunité pour faire un commentaire encore, et si pas gagné, on a avancé avec prochaine question.
I have something to add real quick, if I could. I see some good questions coming over related to this topic. So before we move on, I think it would be great to address some of these about people are asking things like, is there a larger pharmacy in Haiti that you recommend? And I think this would be a good opportunity for Barry to share a bit about Blessings, what they do. And also, I will answer the question a little bit. There are some larger pharmacies that can be used depending on what's located. Global health database that you can use to search for medication providers. I can share that. We can also type in some chat or do some follow-up on some of the larger ones that people are using. So that was all I was going to. Barry, do you want to explain a little bit about Blessings real quick?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So at Blessings International, we provide medicine for mission and missional organizations. Some of it that we provide is for short-term teams that are traveling to the country where they're going to be working on mission. But we also do a lot of direct shipment to the country of use, and Haiti is one of those countries that we ship to fairly routinely. So we, if there's an organization, whether it's a hospital or a clinic or just a small clinic that's working and they need medicines, they need medical supplies, minor medical supplies, things like tongue depressors, stethoscopes, that sort of thing, we're able to help with that and to supply those by shipping directly. Now, I saw a question a little bit earlier that popped up about customs clearance. You know, that's always an issue for the receiving organization, that they have to understand how to navigate customs. Sometimes it's fairly simple if they have good relationships. Other times it can be difficult. I think there was also the comment that, you know, it can be expensive to bring things in. It can also be somewhat expensive to import. But again, I think that a lot of that, what we've seen with the organizations that we have worked with, is it depends on the relationships that they have in country. But that's what we do. That's our entire business, is to provide medicines for organizations that are helping and providing support for others. And yeah, so I see a question here. Someone said that they see that a lot of generics are not reliable. That's one of the things here at Blessings, that we make sure that the manufacturers that we work with, we do what's called a certificate of analysis, where those medicines are tested, and then we send them out for another certificate of analysis by an independent lab to check, because we want to be sure. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about here in a little bit about some substandard or counterfeit meds. But we want to be sure that those kind of medicines are not entering Haiti at all, because we want to be sure that when medicines are utilized, they are safe, pure, and effective.
Okay, I'm going to get another.
Ça, Dr. Barry, fait nous connaître que en fait, il y a un plus gros problème. Les mêmes compagnies par là, ça le fait, c'est yo buy médicaments, même yo buy mon médicament, yo voy médicaments dans différents pays, et il y a un problème. En fait, il y a un bagage qui a un problème, qui a un avantage. Tout les gains pour avec relation que vous gagnez avec pays. So, si vous gagnez une bonne relation avec pays, la plus facile pour vous. Mais si vous n'avez pas une bonne relation, vous avez une difficulté pour entrer, pour importer médicaments. Et il fait connaître que lui-même, tout, dans la compagnie, là, en fait, ça c'est pas ça, il fait ça en privé, que les médicaments sortis, pour le monde qui te pose question générique, là, les médicaments sortis, ils testent eux-mêmes pour justifier que le médicament, ça a dit c'est ça lié vrai. Donc, je pense que ça a aidé en pile dans ce sens. En fait, nous souhaitons tout le monde. Comment si vous avez l'autre question encore, pas négliger poser. If you have further questions, do not hesitate to ask them, because we do have Dr. Kembo that is paying attention to your questions. So do not hesitate to ask any more questions. Dr. Kembo, you wanted to say something, or I can move on?
No, please go on. It looks like we've got Carlene on down in Haiti, and I think, yeah, go on. I'll keep questions and we'll go back to them.
So this is great. This is great, and we have now medication procurement. Now we're talking about medication management, and we're saying medication procurement is an issue. Now, what if each hospital, what if each, I am sorry, my daughter is bothering me with distance learning. Give me one sec.
In the meantime, Carlene is on, our pharmacist in Haiti. Carlene, est-ce que vous entendez nous? She could introduce herself as we wait. Hello, Carlene. Can you unmute your microphone? Okay, Carlene. Carlene peut l'introduire tête. Carlene, est-ce que vous pouvez introduire tête en attendant?
Ok. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bonjour. Excusez, moi c'est Baptiste Carlene Lori. Moi c'est pharmacienne. Je travaille à l'Univers Médical Waname.
Hello everyone, my name is Carlene Lori Baptiste. I am a pharmacist at Univers Medical Center in Waname, Haiti. And Carlene, est-ce que vous pouvez répondre pour une question, notre première question que tu as posée, que vous partez là, ou bien dernière question qui sont posée? Dr. Fanès, vous pouvez répondre à la dernière question que tu as posée pour Carlene?
Oui, absolument. En fait, question, c'est qui ça on peut considérer comme challenge que nous gagnons dans cette façon pour nous gagner accès à médicaments. And I just wanna say for everybody, I just repeat the first questions that I asked earlier about medication procurement, that we can give a chance to Carlene to answer that questions as well.
Vous pouvez répondre à une question encore, s'il vous plaît.
Qui difficulté que nous gagnons pour nous gagner accès à médicaments?
Okay.
Qui difficulté nous rencontrer? Well, as we can see, the internet connection is not too good, I think.
Ça cause docteur qu'on besoin de travail, yo pas besoin de médicaments pour travail. Cause transport, ça tout ça.
I don't know if Mary Claire want to translate that, or if I can just go on and.
Yes, we missed the first part of what she said, but she mentioned transportation was a big challenge for the location where they are in Waname. And since we missed the first part, we can just move on, Dr. Fanès.
So what I think the idea she was trying to translate is meant to say that when we do not have access to this medication, so the doctors would have hard time to work, they would have hard time to treat patients, and then some of those difficulties would be due to transportation and stuff like that. So we thank, nous remercier Caroline pour réponse que lui portait pour nous et nous avons vraiment enjoy. Now again, we're talking about medication management, which is very important for healthcare system. And of course, we just talked about medication procurement, how hard it is, especially in Haiti, and we know all of these difficulties. Now, what if in Haiti, each hospital or each care facility could have what we have here in America? We all know about it, a medication formulary. If we could have that, then we know at the hospital when you come, those are the medications that we will be used. If you're on a cholesterol medication, if you're on a statin, this is the one we will translate it to. If you're on a beta blockers, this is the one we will convert it to the hospital. Now, if we have all of this available to us, where we have a formulary, now we already know we can have this medication available in a greater quantity, which can help. Now, will that minimize a little bit like the procurement process, how we can get access to it? Because we know we have it, we know this is the one we will be using at the hospital or at that healthcare facility. Now, I do not know the answer to this question. I don't know if that will help or not, but I think personally that will help. And this is where I'm gonna move to my next question. So what do you think, like, what are the challenges of a medication formulary? And what can we do? What can we do if such challenges exist? What can we do to improve that system, especially in Haiti? If you've been practices, you know a little bit of what's going on. What do you think are the main challenges of the medication formulary in Haiti?
Dr. Faunus, I'll jump in and start. First of all, I think you are right on with your assessment of procurement becomes easier if you have a formulary and you're only targeting a few specific medications for each class of medicines, rather than trying to get everything that might possibly be needed. I think your question is, what's a challenge to establishing a formulary? To me, one of the, and I've had to do this before in pharmacy practice, I think one of the biggest challenges is where to start. Because it's easy to say, okay, I've got all of these medicines that I need to determine what's needed. So I would suggest picking a class of drugs, something that like antihypertensives or antidiabetics, and starting with some class that you know is going to be needed and working with that class, establishing that part of the formulary, and then moving on to a new class of medicines, rather than determining you have to do all of it at once before you can even begin the process. I think if you start with a small group of medicines, understand how that process works, it's easier then to begin with the other classes and build on your formulary. And it also helps to identify who you can procure from, because you begin to recognize a trusted source that you can get that medicine from, and they likely will also have the medicines that you'll need in other classes.
Fanes, je pense que vous avez raison, ou en fait, assessment que vous faites, c'est vraiment salier, parce que si nous avons un formulaire, nous connaissons que qui médicaments que nous avons besoin, nous avons bien besoin pour nous gagner médicaments ça en quantité et qui a aidé nous. Il dit, mais avant même nous dit que qui genre de difficultés nous avons rencontré pour développer un formulaire, ça qui est plus important pour nous poser la question, c'est comment nous commencer. Dr. Berry dit lui-même, il a une chance pour faire ça. Il dit, il y a un côté, il pense que nous avons commencé, c'est commencer avec une classe. Par exemple, vous prendre une classe médicament, vous dit, OK, mais classe ça, c'est là que vous commencer. Si on a une classe médicament ça, il vient côté nous, mais qui est-ce nous a bali? Il pense que ça a aidé un peu si nous avons fait ça. Il dit, l'autre bagaille qui pose problème tout, c'est surtout, maintenant, si vous allez développer un formulaire, il faut qu'on ait qui côté ou a bien accès à médicaments, ça, qui côté ou a besoin de médicaments, ça, pour venir joindre. C'était en gros, ça, Dr. Verity, et ou même si vous avez une question, vous pouvez poser dans le chat là, as we gonna move on and give another panelist a chance to answer to this question.
I will go ahead and add to that because I lived this so much when I was living in Haiti. Barry's exactly right. You have to just start and you have to just do it and set your formulary. But one of the greatest challenges once you agreed with the formulary with your medical team, with your physicians, is then sticking to it. Because when donations come, when people come, they want to bring you what they have, but it's not on your formulary. And what ends up happening is you end up with a big mess. And so one of the big things that we worked on was we developed a formulary as a team, and then we stuck to that formulary. We were very serious about it because we thought that was safer for our patients. It would made it easier for us to procure. We could always find the best price and highest quality for those items, and it kept everything very neat and organized.
Et Dr. Campbell dit comme ça que pour nous gagner un formulaire, il est vraiment important que là nous développer formulaire. C'est pas parce que mon a ba ou médicament que pour courir prendre pour oublier formulaire que ou développer. Lors développer formulaire là, faut rester sur lui pour dire que oui, c'est ça qui formulaire, on pas courir sur tout médicament que mon a ba. So Dr. Barbara, that was a pretty very good answer. But for me, now, I'm thinking about it. If you're in Haiti, for example, you don't have access to a lot of medications. Then you do have a formulary on one side. Then would you say, would it be justified for you to say that somebody bringing another med because it is not in my formulary, and I'm like, hey, that's not in my formulary, I cannot take it, or I don't even have access to that medication that is being given to me. So I think this is really challenging. Mm-hmm. Because for you don't have, and here you are rejecting other medications. Avec question me pose, me dit que il y a un problème en Haïti parce que si on en Haïti ou gagne un formulaire ou dit me plaît rester collé à formulaire ça, and then ou gagne mon cap faut de médicaments parce que le pas dans formulaire là, then on dit que hey, m'pas besoin de médicaments ça parce que le pas dans formulaire et ou pas même gagne même. And we're going to give Dr. Campbell a chance to answer.
Yeah, and I'm not officially a doctor, by the way. I just have to clear that up. But
I'm sorry, I thought you had a Form D.
I just want to clear that up for integrity. Yeah. But one challenge, I'll give an example of the formulary problem that we face. So we had take hypertensive medications, and we had a formulary with an ACE inhibitor, a beta blocker, and thiazide diuretic on it, and that was our standard formulary. And then we'd sometimes have we had some doctors that would come down, and they would bring in the latest and greatest fancy combination blood pressure medication from the US, right? And they'd want to come and put a patient on it. The problem is that after they left, we could not keep the patient on that medication long term, and it became harder to stabilize people's blood pressures through that. So that was a literal problem that we had, to where we kind of had to say, we really appreciate that, but it would be better if you would agree to buy a few bottles of lisinopril, would be the best thing. So anyway, that was a real life example of what we faced.
Well, Barbara Frank dit que li gagne yon formulaire que lui même li développé côté que yo gagne ACE inhibitors, yo gagne beta blocker, yo gagne yon diuretic thiazide, et ça qui yon a plus gros problème parfois yo gagne docteur qui sorti à l'étranger qui vient avec fancy médicaments qui combinés avec yon lot, et il dit que lui toujours dit que merci un peu, nous apprécions ce geste là, mais il t'a plus bon si tu es venir avec une bouteille lisinopril femme cadeau, c'est qu'à venir avec ou pas venir avec un médicament qui combiné, ça veut dire un médicament qui pas pas dans formulaire que nous gagnons. And we will keep going. We will give another panelist a chance to answer to this question, unless you would have some other questions on the chat, Barbara.
No, I don't. I would let people share what they've learned.
Okay.
You can ask Carmen.
Yes, si je peux ajouter un petit bagay en plus, Dr. Fanes, dans sa Barbara dit, et dans l'exemple te bay là, juste pour clarifier et pour moun yo, et gagner un monde qui te vient avec un médicament tout nouveau, tout neuf, bel médicament que nous pas gagné en Haïti, yo vini avec lui, yo mette le sous yon patient, mais après moun sa au finale, c'est pas parce que médicament ka pas marché, mais après médecin sa au fin quitter pays a, yo pas ka trouver médicament ça en Haïti encore, li vinn difficile qu'on y a pour contrôler tension ou bien sucre patient ça parce que il vinn pas stable, les différents de médicaments que même yo ka trouver en Haïti. Et pour me retourner dans ça, on te dit, oui, c'est vrai, merci beaucoup, ou pour tes bons médicaments ça pour nous, mais comment on a fait, comment n'a pas maintenir, n'a pas toujours trouvé pour nos patients. Préféré que au bon nous bagay que nous ka gagné en Haïti, les salipi soutenable.
Thank you so much, Marie-Claire. And we'll let another panelist intervene. Dr. Gray, I believe you are muted.
I am. Yeah, sorry. I would agree with that, what everyone has said. The clinic that I work at, Soaring Unlimited, is in Pister, which is a very small rural community clinic at the base of a mountain. We have put together our own list. I've never thought about it as being a formulary before, but I suppose it is. A formulary or a list for that particular clinic, and when we order medications, whether from Blessings International or we get them from the Michigan State Pharmacy, or we bring in donations, we try and bring only those medications which are generic. I saw a question on the chat about whether we use generics, and we do. I appreciate that, because then it's always the same medication, even if the bottle looks different that comes in, it's still the same medication. That's not confusing to the volunteers who are working in the pharmacy for dispensing. And but it's a very, very limited amount of medications that are on our list.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if Marie-Claire wanna translate for us?
Oh, go ahead, Dr. Fanes. You can go ahead.
Oui, Dr. Gray dit que en fait, dans une clinique que c'est un small clinic, et il pensait que yo gagne une liste de médicaments que utilisé. Il pensait que yo ka considérer comme un formulaire selon j'en défini formulaire là, et yo utilise ça que yo gagne, l'important que rete ali, même c'est sûr qu'il y a toujours gain l'autre monde qui a bail l'autre médicament, mais formulaire là yo supposé liste yo gain yo vraiment rete ali, même parce que c'est genre de médicaments ça que yo gain accès à eux-mêmes. And we will be moving on to take one last comment on this question, and then after that we're going to move on to the next. N'a avancé pour nous prendre un dernier commentaire sur question ça, et après n'a avancer avec prochaine question. If somebody else want to comment. Well, if not, we're gonna keep going, because we have a lot of questions. So we will keep going.
Just real quick, I am keeping track of all the questions that are coming through, and we will get to them at the end. And if for some reason we miss your question, we'll go back through everything after the webinar and get you an answer via email. So I love all the questions that are coming in. I'm so excited about all the questions that are coming in, so keep them coming. And Dr. Fanes, you keep going on the questions you have prepared, but we'll get everything answered either before one or via email, I promise.
I mean, I I love this. I think this is going great, better than I even anticipated. We already talked about medication procurement. We talked about formulary. Now, one of the big problems that pharmacists, physicians, like we can say that we face is compliance and adherence with medications, because it's okay. I mean, you can do everything you can to diagnose a patient and to say, this is what's right for you. This is that medication I want you to take. And you, as a pharmacist, as you're dispensing that medication, you always want to say, hey, this is how you take it. I want you to take it every day or the time, the way the doctor prescribed it. So we're looking for compliance and adherence to that medication. Well, in Haiti, it is very, very difficult, because now, not only at times, you give the prescription to the patients and you don't even know if they're gonna get the medications. And in some cases, once they get it, you don't even know if they're gonna take it. And sometimes they will tell you that, well, this medication doesn't work, even if they try it for 1 day. You give a blood hypertensive medication, then patient try it for 1 day, say it doesn't work, then move on to leaves, to herbs, to green leaves. And for you that I've experienced in Haiti, like, how do you approach that? How do you face that problems when somebody tells you, I'm not gonna take that medication, it doesn't work, I'm gonna take my leaves, I'm gonna boil my leaves, make me some tea, and that's gonna work for me. So how do you approach that? How do you deal with it?
This would be a great question for Carlene down in Haiti, if she can hear us. Marie-Claire?
Allô, Carlene, est-ce que vous avez des questions ça? Souhaitez qu'à répondre pour nous, comme ou même ou en Haïti, ou à vivre expérience là?
Pour me répéter la question pour Caroline, c'est, on a parlé de médicaments, leur bail, mon médicament, ou bien leur bail patient médicament, ils seulement essayer pour un grain jour, et puis ils disent tout carrément que le médicament ça pas marché, je vais utiliser feuille moins plutôt, ma bouillie feuille moins, donc c'est le qui a marché pour moi.
Tant que les médecins ont prescrit un médicament, c'est tout le monde qui a intention,
Well, I think the internet connection is not too good, and
yo tourner côté docteur au lieu que yo même yo prend initiative là pour dire c'est eux même qui donner acheter médicaments.
All right, Claire, is there anything you could translate out of that?
I missed most of it. Carlene, nous pas bien dans des sordia. Si vous ka écrit dans partie chat là, laissez nous tout à well parce que nous pas attendre.
OK.
Ah mais là on met parler qu'on y a m'entendre oui, on met fait parler.
OK. Tant que patient qui a tension hypertension ensemble avec parfois les que docteur a prescrit un médicament pour 10 jours, yo même yo kon di a utiliser carton pour yo retourner chez médicament. Les ça que moi conseiller patient tourner côté docteur au lieu que c'est lui-même qui bali tête li et obligation pour tourner chez médicament avec carton. Ça qui arrive, tension qu'on descend ou bien qu'on monte, si que tension a monté pour un médicament qui va pour ça, ça fait que il a causé un gros problème.
Okay, so some patients, they get a prescription, let's say for 10 days, and once they know what the medication is, once the days are gone, they take the initiative to go buy more medication without going back to the doctors to get a checkup again and get new prescription. And sometimes that's a problem. As a pharmacist, when I give the medication to the patient, I encourage them to come back before they take their own initiative to go get new medication, new supply. Ou t'as pas ajouté un autre bagay, Colin?
Oui, tant que nous t'avons parlé des patients qui sont de l'autre côté, tant que Saint-Domingue aux États-Unis, ils ont utilisé un médicament pendant que ils étaient l'autre bout. Et puis, les venus en Haïti, ils ont même fait passer toute pharmacie qui est ici à un médicament. Ça cause mon nom qu'on mourir, ça cause mon nom qu'on obligé, tant qu'on est dans le moment pendant qu'on a des difficultés pour mon entrer Saint-Domingue, ça cause que mon yon qu'on hospitalisé combien de jours, ça qu'on fait tout, mon nom qu'on finit décourager, les que pas un médicament. Ça fait que parfois, les que mon yon a fait donc médicament, et yon qu'on tant que nous gagnons médicaments, parfois, pas que nous-mêmes nous pas joindre facile, nous pouvons juste utiliser et
Sometimes we get some medication from the Dominican Republic, and some patients come from the Dominican Republic or from the United States, and in the time they are in Haiti, the medication that they used to take, they cannot find it in Haiti, and that creates a big issue for them.
So Claire, let me ask this: Is Colin saying that is the reason why? So these people turn to herbs is because they can't have access to medications or because they prefer?
Colin, est-ce que tu as dit que raison ça parce que médicaments sont gens difficiles pour quelqu'un trouver que yo choisi utiliser feuille, yo choisi utiliser thé dans place médicament?
Bon, il y a des patients qui quand vini, yo dit que yo aime utiliser feuille pour yo faire thé au lieu que yo utiliser médicaments parce que parfois c'est difficile vrai. Si tu as un médicament que nous pas joindre en Haïti, c'est à l'étranger nous joindre pour yo joindre au lieu que utiliser un médicament, yo joindre 2-3 jours et yo pas ka joindre encore, yo plutôt utiliser thé.
I would say yes in some cases, especially for the medication that we have to buy abroad. When the patients realize that they may not be able to find that medication on the market where they are, then they choose to go to herbal tea that they can find in the country.
I would love to hear Dr. Gray on that topic because she specifically wanted me to address that. I don't know if she has any experience of that while helping in Haiti.
I really don't. I have more questions than I have answers, to tell you the truth. We hear that a lot in the clinic, that the patients who are given a prescription medication come back and they tell the clinic staff that they took the medication for a few days and then they didn't think it was helping, so they went back to their leaf medicine. We have a very good rapport in our little community with the local boku, the local witch doctor, which is a term I really dislike. But in terms of asking him ever, what are the leaves or what are the herbs that he's using when he prescribes teas for our patients, we have never done that. And maybe that's a good idea to do that. I'd like to hear some feedback about it.
Dr. Gray dit que les gains plus questions que réponses aux questions ça parce que c'est un bagage que l'entendez en pile monde dit, il est vraiment courant. I want to go further than Colleen because it's not just that because those people do not have access to this medication why they want to use leaves or they want to use herbal medicines because in fact I am a pharmacist, okay, and my mom is taking medication for blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, and it is a struggle with me to have her to take her medications, and she thinks that those leaves work better. I mean, this is my mom, and it is a struggle for me to have her to take them, and I do have some patients as well that would come to my pharmacy, Haitian patients, and they will tell me, well, my doctor prescribed this. I mean, I'm just gonna take it that one time, but I'm not gonna take it. I think my green tea would work better than that. So it is a problem. I think it is like maybe it's a cultural problem. Maybe it's I don't know, but I think this is really a big problem because if it was due to access to medications, excuse me, I do not think that we would have that problem here too in America because we still have the problem here in America with Haitian patients as well. So I think it goes further than that. And je me dis que je pense que je vais aller plus loin que Caroline sur le dossier. Ça pour me dire que je pense que le problème n'est aller plus loin que ça parce que moi-même, maman prend médicament pour tension, la prend médicament pour sucre. Et c'est problème tout le temps pour me faire arrêter pour le prendre médicament. Il croit que feuille a bon pour lui, ben le bon médicament vient à qu'elle dit gombo, il mange gombo en pile bouillie gombo pour dire que ça descend sucre pendant le bas de prendre médicament et l'autre prend sucre, it's like en fait ou pas aucun progrès qui fait vrai. En fait, c'est pas pour me dire dans quel sens que feuille pas marché, mais ça me dit que feuille pas prouvé que marché, puisque pas prouvé que marché, je pense que c'est préférable pour nous aller avec bagaille qui étude fait sûr qui prouvait que marché. Well, that was my take on that, and again, I mean, I'm living it, I'm seeing it firsthand with my mom. So this is a real problem.
We had one question come up related to this topic before we move on that I thought that was good. And I don't know if we have an answer to it, but maybe something we can look into. But in an opinion, what is needed to educate people on the use of medicine and the practice of herbal medicine and the dangers that can happen when you're doing both or when you're going back and forth? So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that, but I thought that was it's a really good question. It's certainly a problem.
I mean, I can try to answer this with my personal experience, like with my mom, for example, right? So what I did with her is that she's like, I'm not gonna use that metformin because I don't think it works. And she was using like okra and another type of leaf that I don't remember. And I'm like, okay, mom, since you don't believe me, let's try this for 2 weeks. Then don't take the meds at all and keep going with that. And then after 2 weeks, I'll come here, we'll check. Then she did that. And after 2 weeks when I came, we took her blood sugar. It was 235. And this is like fasting glucose level, 235. Then I'm like, okay, then you see that. Let's try now. Let's try the metformin for 2 weeks, and I'm gonna come and we'll do it again. And then with the metformin, when I came, it was after 2 weeks I came, it was at 150. I mean, still not good, but you can see the difference. And then now she's taking the metformin. And then when things start again, she's not feeling well. She's taking the metformin. She stopped it again. Again, it is one way you can do it is to educate the more that you can. But I think it is a big challenge. We have so much to do to fix that.
Yes, I would like to quickly translate that your question que Barbara t'a posée en réponse à l'autre question qui était déjà posée, que yon moun te écrit dans le chat là, qui façon nous ka éduquer moun yo pour connaître qui danger ça ka gagner pour utiliser et feuilles et médicaments, essayer qui danger ça ka gagner, comment ka essayer convaincre yon moun que qui pour faire connaître qui est li ka utiliser. C'est pas pour dire que soit fait là pas bon, mais aider moun nan comprendre qui danger ça ka gen là-dedans. Docteur Fanes te bay un exemple que l'utiliser avec maman et maman te gen médicament pour sucre, metformine qu'elle était supposé prendre. Li dit docteur Fanes que li pas vle prendre, ça pas fait rien pour lui. Li vle utiliser gombo plutôt. Alors docteur Fanes dit bien, on va essayer gombo pendant 2 semaines. Li essaye pendant 2 semaines. Li vient checker sucre là, mais sucre là était plus haut que le t'a supposé 235 comme ça. Là, moun nan ouais vraiment que OK, ça pas marché. On va essayer ça docteur a dit ou bien essayer l'autre médicament pour nous qui fait ça gain. Je pense et ça c'est une technique que nous avons utiliser mais question ouverte à l'autre monde, l'autre panéliste si tu va ajouter dans réponse ça.
I can do a little bit of share a little bit of information. There is an organization called Naturopaths Without Borders that has a lot of information on this. There also is a academic compendium of natural products used in the Caribbean. The one I'm able to find most quickly is called Tramil, T-R-A-M-I-L, but we've posted about this in the past. Lecture was given, so I'll try to find that and post it again today. But there is information, academic and verified about what's used, what can be used, what its purposes for. Many of them are effective if they're used properly and have ingredients that are potent. So it's definitely something. It's not easy to become familiar with it, but it's certainly worth becoming familiar with. And in many cases, that might be the best way for a patient to get what they need for certain conditions, given the other challenges that we've been discussing of getting the proper medications.
Et Dr. Kaplan t'a ajouté gagner information académique qui est disponible pour moun ta va trouver sous question feuille. Did you say naturopath is the
Naturopaths Without Borders?
Gen yon organisation qui est les Naturopath Without Borders qui c'est route naturelle sans frontières qui gagne information sous feuille comment nous ka utiliser qui ça yo gen nan yo et qui effet yo ka gagner. Ça c'est un bagage que nous ka utiliser tout pour éduquer patient yo.
Well, we wanna thank Dr. Kaplan, and I think that Barbara will find a way to share that to share these resources with everybody that is in our meeting today. And again, this is a big challenge, and I wanna thank. I don't know how to thank you enough. All my panelists today, I know the work you've been doing to help in Haiti, because we have a lot of problems. And one of the other things that we have in Haiti, we have like multiple pharmacies in Haiti. Like anybody technically can have a pharmacy in Haiti, and those people inside those pharmacies sometimes have zero qualifications. So you just show up, you say, what do you need? And you said you need this, and bang, they give it to you. You technically don't need anything else. And that is a huge problem. And we do have, I think the other time we talked about it, we do have about, I think we said about 2 or 3 pharmacy schools in Haiti, but I don't know if we have any pharmacy, that term, if that term is even used in Haiti, pharmacy technicians, because anybody can go. If you want to help, they just say, hey, come and help. But we do not have anything like that really in terms of pharmacy technicians, how we can help. So the next questions would be, what are the options for education of pharmacists in Haiti? What is what is the status of pharmacy technician profession in Haiti? What are the options to educate, train pharmacy technicians in Haiti? So this is our next questions. And I think for the pharmacy technicians, but I believe Tisha has developed a program, I think about 40 hours, which is really extensive. I think she can touch on that for us. Like, what do you think with the training for pharmacy technician in Haiti? What do you think we can do?
Oh, and just to translate the question, Dr. Fanes tap dit que en Haïti, il y a un pile pharmacie, un pile monde qui a vendre dans pharmacie sans que moun yo pa gen yon éducation appropriée vraiment pour travailler comme pharmacien. Ou ka juste aller dans pharmacie ou juste dire moun nan ou besoin ça li bon liste sans que ou pas même besoin des fois ou pas même besoin en prescription. Et ça amène nous à l'autre question nous qui c'est qui genre de éducation, qui genre de formation qui gagne en Haïti, qui opportunité qui gagne pour un monde d'avoir formé en pharmacie. Et nous pas connaît peut-être qu'à gagner nous de l'école pharmacie en Haïti, nous pas connaît alors nous gagnons un panéliste qui développe un programme de formation pour pharmacie, pour pharmaciens. Alors les cas bon nous information en plus de programme ça et puis tout comme nous connaissons et nous gagnons Caroline Laurie qui soit appelée là qui c'est une pharmacienne qui formée en Haïti les mêmes tout les cas aider nous répondre à la question ça alors
So I can speak to the program that I developed for the clinic through Soaring Eagle, sorry, that's a casino here, Soaring Unlimited. They came to me and asked for, they had a clinic that with a technician that had no experience dispensing medications whatsoever. So we developed something that talks about medication safety and errors, the importance of dispensing what the doctor determined was needed, what medications was needed. We go over a little bit of anatomy and physiology so they understand what the drugs do in the body and why it's important to use the medications that the doctor is prescribing or wants dispensed to the patient. Go ahead.
Thank you. Dr. Fanes, do you want to translate or do you want me to do it?
You can go ahead.
Bon programme que nous gagnons, organisation Soaring Unlimited qui trouve en Haïti, t'es contacté docteur pour demander comment il peut aider parce que yo gagne en pharmacie, yo gagne un monde en pharmacie mais qui pas vraiment formé pour ça, qui pas yo juste prend prescription by mon médicament mais yo même yo pas connaît qui fait médicament ou fait sur patient, yo pas connaît comment, yo pas gagne toute information ta supposé gagner pour aider patient dans affaire médicament. Alors li créer programme ça qui pour éduquer pharmacien ou bien et l'autre monde tout qui t'a souhaité prendre formation ça de on sait des médicaments que médecin yo prescrit à patient yo apprendre de yo qui ça yo fait dans corps comment utiliser yo et puis aider yo parler avec patient éduquer patient tout comment pour prendre médicament. Dr. Trish?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, I tried to make it as comprehensive and as relevant to medical pharmaceutical dispensing that I'm going to be doing. And we'll start teaching via Zoom next month. So we're working on the translation now.
Et programme ça moi fait dans une façon qui appropriée à Jean bagay yo en Haïti. Tout dépend de genre de médicaments que nous utilisons en Haïti. Et nous prêts pour nous commencer le programme ça dans 2 semaines via Zoom. C'est une phase traduction que nous. May I please ask, is this just for people at Soaring Unlimited, or is it open to the public? And how do people get access to it?
Let me answer that. Do you mind, Tisha?
Oh, please.
Et question que me posée, est-ce que c'est un bagage qui seulement pour employer Soaring Unlimited ou bien est-ce que est ouvert à public là?
It was a grant that was written for Rotary to give money to develop this program, and at this point in time, it's a trial. It's a trial to see if it makes a difference. Our experience at Soaring Unlimited was that although the clinic has been in existence for now about 12 years, the woman who was working as our pharmacy tech was a woman who just had a wonderful rapport with the physician that has been there all this time. And so between the years of them working together, she just became very adept at understanding what Dr. Eve Rose was prescribing, and she would dispense it accordingly. However, this woman who was only 34 years old literally dropped dead of a heart attack, and we had no idea what to do. So we asked for somebody who was interested in becoming a pharmacy tech. We had a very young woman step forward. Actually, she's the daughter of the woman who died. And so she's very young, but she's very enthusiastic. And this is hopefully a method not only to train her, but several other people on our staff, so that when we get into a position, for instance, of the Michigan State Medical Team coming to the clinic, where we see 500 patients in 3 days, we need more than one pharmacist. And so this is a way to hopefully give them some educational background about dispensing the medications that are ordered.
Problème que nous avons rencontré dans Soaring Unlimited, c'est nous avons un technicien en pharmacie qui c'est un monde qui apprend avec expérience. Il connaît l'organisation, il fait un bon travail et puis il trouve un job là. Mais c'est pas un monde qui a gagné une formation vraie, j'en ai dit au commencement. Et malheureusement, après plusieurs années de travail, mon ça a tombé, il mourit. Et nous pas gagné un autre monde qui pour remplacer avec expérience que gagne. Nous gagnons un monde qui remplace, mais mon ça encore pas gagné formation dans pharmacie. Alors, nous pensons que c'est vraiment important pour nous avoir formé pharmaciens et former tout employé nous gagnons dans l'organisation. Parfois, nous gagnons des équipes qui viennent et nous gagnons plus que de 500 patients. Ça demande pour nous gagner plus pharmaciens et qui pour connaître qui ça a fait pour bailler service là.
So it's possible that if it's successful and popular, that it's something that can be distributed to other organizations.
Et comme c'est pour la première fois qu'on a essayé, c'est une phase séculier, on a regardé comment le marché, s'il bien marché, s'il fait une différence positive vraiment, peut-être nous qu'à penser à ouvrir cadre là à l'autre organisation et à l'autre monde.
I can say that the cost for putting this program together has been about $7,500, but that included purchasing used laptop computers so that we can do Zoom conferencing.
Et c'est un programme qui prend un peu l'argent parce que c'est par Zoom, il y a fait et pour nous imaginer matériel ordinateur pour utiliser pour les gens livre cher. Et il y en a un que Dr. Gray a dit au commencement, c'est un programme qui est financé par Rotary.
I want to say something about this in the context of prior efforts. There has been, by direct relief, they put on a course throughout Haiti. I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago, probably 2 times. So this is we'd have to try to dig that up from somewhere. It's, but it was provided for free by Direct Relief at that point. Hopefully there might be some materials that can be accessed. Also, currently we have Vitamin Angels, which has been distributing vitamins throughout Haiti, and they have a training program specifically for distributing the vitamins. And they've also put that program on flash drives and other electronic versions that can be accessed without having to go to a training or have internet connection. So that's a kind of a starting point and some good ideas on how to do that. We put that on last time we had the Haiti Health Network conference 2018 in Cap Haitian. The day after, we had maybe 120 people, Barbara, that came from the north to be trained on Vitamin Angels distribution.
Well, excuse me. Go ahead.
Il y a deux programmes que Dr. Kaplan a mentionné là qui baillent des formations, bien que yo pas complet, gagner des ressources que n'importe monde peut accéder à yo, qui gagne des informations sur comment entraîner tête ou. Gagne c'est Direct Relief et l'autre là c'est Vitamin Angels. Vitamin Angels lui-même il distribue vitamines à travers le pays et formation que le bal là li spécifique à vitamines mais quand même il y a l'autre information tout qui est important sur question gestion médicaments avec pharmacie.
I just remembered also, and we posted this on the Haiti Health Network group yesterday or the day before, that we have Primary Care Haiti, an organization that does training. And they announced their 3 sessions for next year. Someone was asking about in the South. They've been in the South. I'm not sure if they're coming again in 2021. But they do several different kinds of training, including pharmacy training.
Oh, good.
And our techs, or jack of all trade, including tech, Mario has taken all these courses before and another one that's I don't think available anymore. So some of these people around Haiti can show you several certificates that they've received on several different things through the years. And this is one of those. So I would definitely, as far as current related to pharmacy training, I would definitely touch base with Primary Care Haiti about their pharmacy training course, just to try to put your heads together on that. And it's been done in a Creole translation, or it's presented in both languages.
Et il y a l'autre organisation qui offre formation sur pharmacie à travers Haïti. Nous avons quelques techniciens qui te prend et cours. Barbara, would we be able to compile all these resources in an email after the?
Thinking is we'll compile some of these resources, and Tisha and Catherine, I don't know if now or even in the future when it's ready, if you're willing to share some of those resources. I think one thing I'm seeing from this webinar is that there's a lot of interest and there's a lot of questions, which I love. And so being able to do some follow-up with these resources and then being able to share the ones that you've developed, I think would be wonderful.
Et après séminaire là, peut-être demain, si Dieu veut, nous envoyer un email à tous participants avec toutes les ressources que nous t'ai mentionné pour nous gagner accès à eux.
Well, a lot of info today, and we've been promised a lot of resources as well. And as I told you, if you come, you're not gonna be the same person, because you're gonna learn a lot, and we have a lot of things we'll be sharing with you after the webinar today. So I don't know what Barbara wanna do, and because I don't know, we have like many more questions to go through. I don't know if I should select one last more questions or.
I want to ask one question. There's a few that I've been keeping track of, and I mean, there's a lot of really good ones. One question that came up was about purchasing in country versus purchasing internationally, and it's kind of like an opinion question. What do people find better to do? I'll just answer just from my own experience real quick. What we did when we were doing it is we had our formulary, and then we first went to Haiti, and anything we could find from a reliable source in Haiti, we got it. But if there were things that we really needed for the formulary that came out, we would get from out and bring in. And usually we use Blessings and a few others, but mostly Blessings. But that's kind of how we thought through it. Now, there were quite a lot that I couldn't get access to, so I needed to bring in, but that was our thought process. I'd love to hear other people's as well.
Sometimes there's some products that are so expensive that the only practical way to get them is sampled from abroad. So that a lot of times that's where, no matter, there's really no other way to get those specialized products. In the hemophilia program that we presented before, that's an example with the factor 8, and there's other ones like that.
Yeah, Barbara, I would echo what you said. We encourage, as long as there's a reliable source, we encourage folks to buy in country as well, because we want to help the local economy. We want to help those who are working there, those who are supporting what is happening locally. But as you said too, there's sometimes that medicines aren't available. And so that's why we exist, is to be able to help in those situations. But if organizations are seeing increases in counterfeit or substandard, that's why we always encourage folks to go to reliable sources where they're using the same organization or same pharmacy or same distributor over and over.
Et question que Madame Barbara a posée, que yon moun te posé dans le chat là, c'est qui différence, est-ce que vous avez une préférence dans la question acheter médicaments en Haïti ou bien acheter à l'étranger? Et réponse si nous gagnons une source en Haïti que nous avons fait confiance assez, parce que gagne un problème de médicaments contrefaits et que je pense un peu le monde qui est dans la santé qui comprendre qui ça est. Et si nous avons encouragé plus de monde acheter en Haïti, non seulement pour aider l'économie, et nous-mêmes qui dans Blessings International, nous existons pour nous supporter. Si tu as un médicament qui est difficile pour trouver en Haïti, nous pouvons aider les gens à trouver à l'étranger, mais nous encourager pour acheter des médicaments en Haïti si on peut trouver et puis si on peut faire et sous la confiance.
And I think those are some great information that have been shared today. And now what I want to do is, we have a lot more questions, but obviously we will not have time to go over them because I respect everybody's time. And now what I want to do is to turn it over to Barbara. But before I do that, I want to thank every single person that have been here today, especially our panelists. And thank you so much for the time that you have dedicated for us to help my dear country, Haiti, for that conference. And I've learned a lot from myself, and I'm pretty sure it's the same feeling for most of the people in that room today. Thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over to Barbara.
Thank you, Dr. Fonashine. This has been great. I do want to pose one more question, because I think this is one that came up earlier in the webinar, and I think it's a good one that people wrestle with every day. And the question is a simple one. In general, how long can a med be used after the expiration date? And I think it's a good question. It can be a political question. It can be a difficult question.
Question que Barbara a posée, elle dit que nous pensons que ça sont très bonnes questions que nous supposons tout le monde il pense que c'est important pour nous opiner sur les avant que nous faisons. Combien de temps après ou qu'a utiliser un médicament après que le médicament ça lui-même expiré? And Barbara, I don't know if I can be the first one to start to answer to this question. And of course, I have a lot of pharmacists and doctors on the room. If I say something that you do not agree with, please correct me. But a medication being expired, when the manufacturer says that let's say a manufacturer puts that an expiration date for January 2021. So January 2021 doesn't mean that that medication can no longer be used. What it means is, if that medication was, if the effectiveness of it was at, let's say 100%, so when you get to that date, to the January 2021, now you might not have the full effect of it anymore. You might have maybe 90, 80, 75. So this is, so once you get to that point, so the full effectiveness is not guaranteed. That doesn't mean it doesn't have it, but it's not guaranteed. So that's what I remember I've learned in pharmacy school. So, and let me translate. So ça que me dit, l'autre pharmaciste qui sous panel là, je suis pas d'accord avec moi, ou ka toujours intervenir dans ce sens-là. Mais ça que moi-même connais, par exemple, si yon manufacture écrit que, pour dire que le médicament ça l'a expiré en janvier 2021, l'arrivée en janvier 2021, c'est pas pour dire que le médicament ça n'a pas qu'à utiliser encore, sauf que l'arrivée dans date ça, compagnie a dit que n'a pas qu'à garantir que le médicament ça l'a bien toute effectiveness que tu as supposé gagner, il ne doit pas effectivement même niveau, mais il a toujours utilisé, il a toujours bien fait. Et ça quand même arrivé même, il toujours bien même effet. If anybody else want to comment.
Yeah, I'll comment. I've got a couple of things. So first, and Barbara alluded to the political side of things. I think that, you know, there's a respect that I've seen personally in Haiti. We had some ibuprofen suspension that was about 3 months expired that we gave out. And the patient looked at it for their child. They picked it up, looked at it, saw the expiration date and handed it back, said they didn't want it. Well, you know, it made me really understand that they had the view, why should they get something expired if I wasn't going to take that, or we in America weren't going to take that? So I do think there's that respect factor. The other thing is there is a really good article, I think it was back from the early 2000s in the Medical Letter, where there was a study conducted on medications that had been expired for 20 years that was in the US government possession. And that medication, 20 years expired, was still 80% effective. So, you know, you mentioned that the effectiveness will decrease. What we don't know is how much, though, because the pharmaceutical companies only test it to 3 years. They're not testing it to 4, 5, 6. So we don't know when that drops off. So at 3 years, we know it's still 90 to 95% effective, which is still within the range of what's allowed. So I think it's important to recognize that we don't know beyond the 3 years or the 2 years or whatever the expiration date, because it's just not studied. I did see a couple of comments, which was the other thing I wanted to point out. There are some medicines that we do know that once they get past that range are not good. Tetracycline, doxycycline, and ranitidine are 3 of those that I would never as a pharmacist recommend someone take beyond the expiration date, because we do know that those can become dangerous.
Dr. Berry, before are you talking about after the 3 years or the expiration date written on the bottle itself?
For those 3 medicines?
For the tetracycline, doxycycline, and ranitidine. Is it like after the 3 years window or? Yeah,
so once the expiration date on the bottle has passed, I would not recommend taking those 3.
Okay. So ça Dr. Berry fait nous connaître que les dit comme ça que en fait intervention que me fait me dit que généralement l'expiration date l'arrivée il y a pas même effectiveness là encore. Ça dit que études montrent que après 3 ans, ils ont testé après 3 ans. Après 3 ans, les styles montrent que les 90% effectifs après 3 ans. Et le gouvernement américain a un médicament qui est 20 ans après, les ont testé qui est 80% effectif. Ça le fait qu'on ait que gain 3 médicaments, doxycycline, tétracycline et puis ranitidine qui est médicament ça les disons ça en tant que pharmaciste ou pharmaciste là ça parce que études montrent que médicaments depuis dans expiration date là yo pas bon encore. Ça veut dire que 3 médicaments ça sur Haïti ouais ou une expiration date là pas prend yo parce que études montrent que yo pas bon encore, mais tout l'autre médicament que nous pas mentionné là 3 ans après yo still montré que yo 86% effective. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Berry, for
I think you could
this.
also say the loss of potency and the increase in danger is probably higher in general in liquid medications than non-liquid medications.
I'd just like to make one quick response to a question I see in the chat room about MSPP coming around, making inspections of the pharmacy and the medications that are contained in the pharmacy. We've had the same experience. My own heart was broken with disappointment when I saw that there was probably 50 vials of albuterol in glass ampules that was confiscated and destroyed to be used for nebulizers because it was outdated, and it was that was so valuable to us because we had so many people who were cooking with charcoal and had COPD and emphysema respiratory issues. It was a sad occurrence, but we need to be in compliance.
I think I'd rather breathe and not be in compliance than not be able to breathe and be in compliance. That's really what it gets down to in a lot of cases. I think you'll see some places that would work with it more than others, given that it is skirting the regulations, but in a humanitarian sense, it's a difficult issue.
I would make a quick comment just as a Haitian to this. Dr. Evie mentioned, yes, Haitians are super sensitive to expired medication, and it is a sign of distrust if there is an organization that gives out medication to patients. People may just not want anything to do with you anymore. And I think we believe that once the medication has expired, it can kill you, it can harm you. So I think it's important to be able to explain that and to educate people on that so that they know it's not because you want them to do them harm, but it's because it's still effective. Et ça me sort dit, en tant que haïtien, m'ta mentionné que yon nan panélis yo te dit que Haïtien pas accepter médicaments qui expiré. Oui, c'est vrai, c'est un bagay que nous-mêmes Haïtiens nous sensibles à li en pile. Si on moun ta va offrir un médicament qui expiré, c'est un signe côté que ou pas ka faire moun sa confiance encore parce que nous croyons que médicament qui expiré ka tuer nous, ka fait nous mal. Et d'après ça, il est important pour avoir une information, une éducation qui est faite pour aider nous comprendre que c'est pas parce que les médicaments expirés que l'a tué, non, c'est pas parce que n'est pas bon encore. Et il y a un dernier bagage que Dr. Kaplan a mentionné, il était dit que médicaments liquides, ils plus facile pour ne pas marcher encore après expiration que médicaments en flacon, en grain. It's back to you, Barbara.
Well, that was one topic I know. I think we could probably almost do a whole webinar on that topic alone and all the issues involved. Last thing, and then I want to let everybody go, respect everyone's time. I see Phil McRae has his hand raised. If there's something you'd like to say, Phil, I do have you that you can speak. If you have a question for us, you can unmute yourself and share. While you're doing that, I will go through the questions as much as we can, make sure that we do address what we missed. We will be reaching out on all the education technician training resources that were mentioned. I think that's a good follow-up. So Tisha, Kathy, you'll be getting an email from me about that, and we'll gather the others. And we will send out the recording to everybody afterward. And if any other questions come up, please don't.
I just want to make one comment. Barbara, I think this is very, very important because growing up when I was in Haiti, I wouldn't take expired medication either from anybody. I would thought, okay, they're not good, they don't know use them, and now they're giving it to us. So this is a belief. I think if we can do something where we can have a webinar with healthcare professionals on that alone, that they can teach people. If we can expand on this, I think that will help Haiti so much. If we could do that, because it is a belief in our Haitian culture that if it's expired, we use it, we're gonna get harmed. So if we can, I think if we can do something, start doing this in the process, I think that will help the country a lot in that sense, because we're losing a lot by not taking those medications that we need.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I think you sort of alluded to it, good point, Fanis, but about we are trying to organize a committee to work on, or working group you could call it, to work on pharmacy related issues that we've talked about and that we haven't talked about today. So especially you pharmacists or anybody else that's really deep into this topic, we please, if you're interested in being part of that, please send that along to Barbara, and as we form this, because there is so much work to do in this very high priority topic.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can count me in, for sure.
Great. All right. Well, again, I just want to thank everybody again so much. This was great. This was fairly interactive considering the number of people on. So I know that everybody couldn't speak, but I appreciate all the discussion that was going on and all the information that was shared in the chat. Thank you everybody for participating. And thank you so much for the panelists, and look for the follow-up and also for the next 80 Health Network webinar, which is going to be December 8th, I believe, but you can check on the Facebook group. It's coming up. It will be a clinical training on bleeding. It's on women's health, on bleeding, what's normal and what's not. That's our next webinar for December. So thank you again, Dr. Fanis-Jean. So much appreciated your leadership and help on this. Soaring Unlimited, thank you guys for helping organize it. We really appreciate you.
Et nous dit tout le monde merci pour participation dans ce séminaire là. Merci à panélistes. Nous gagnons un pile de monde qui pas eu chance parler vraiment, et n'a voué information qui est nécessaire dans un email, et me connais que Carlene Lori te gagné quelques bagages li ta remen di, mais qui pas gen tan di yo, n'a ajouté dans email que n'a voué ya. Et séminaire là t'es bien, t'es grand pile discussion. Merci pour toutes questions yo. Prochain séminaire n'a gagné c'est 8 décembre, les sous saignement dans fille, et qui ça qui normal, qui ça qui pas normal, n'a besoin plus d'informations sur ça.
Have a good day, everybody.
Merci tout le monde, bonne journée.
Au revoir.
Bye.